caution and concern. The Eagles say not so fast to Michael Vick, despite the quarterback's insistence he's ready to play.
And Monday night, the New York football Giants get a much-needed win. But I got a piece of advice to bring the punch back to that offense.
After a gutsy Week 2 performance in which Tony Romo played with a broken rib and punctured lung, I'll tell you why some players are able to toughen it out and why some broadcasters we know are out 11 weeks with a torn Achilles. NFL Live, guess what? I'm back. Start right now.
The Ravens were on the clock and they beat the 4 p.m. Eastern deadline to sign their franchise player, defensive tackle Haloti Ngata, agreeing to a 5-year deal. His agent says Ngata will get $40 million in the first 2 years of the deal. It was Eli Manning and the Giants on Monday night at the Meadowlands, playing host to the Rams. Giants trailing by a field goal. Manning to Akeem Nicks. Giants up 7-3. Manning here looking for Dominic Hickson. Ball tipped in the air, but he makes the juggling catch for the 22-yard touchdown. Giants win 28-16. Marcellus Wiley is back from injury, an extended absence. Chris Carter is here. I'm Wendy Nix. We're going to talk more about the Giants, their win in the Meadowlands, and still what could be the problem down the road. But we begin with the problem du jour, Michael Vick. 2 days after he suffered a concussion in his first trip back to Atlanta as a starting QB, still plenty of questions regarding his health. Vick will undergo further testing this week, but his status for Sunday against the Giants is uncertain. And with that, we welcome in Sal Palantonio. Sal, what's the latest on Vick?
Hey, Wendy, here's what's happening behind the scenes. League sources are telling me today that Michael Vick desperately wants to get back on the practice field as soon as possible. That means Wednesday morning, when Marty Morningway, the offensive coordinator, installs the game plan against the Giants. You know, he had those blitzes gave him fits the last time the Eagles played the Giants, and Vick wanted to return the game on Sunday night, but they took his helmet and shoulder pads away from him, and he couldn't go back out there. But the Eagles do not want to rush him through the return-to-play concussion protocol. They want to make sure he passes all the tests, takes the MRI, sees the independent neurologist, a process that normally takes about 3 to 5 days. Now, even though it's being diagnosed as a slight or mild concussion, the team wants to make sure there's no recurrence of symptoms early in the week that could set Vick back and force him to miss practice later in the week, put him in jeopardy of missing Sunday's home opener. Remember, they got a $100 million investment to protect here. And the conservative approach on concussions designed by Eagles trainer Rick Burkhalter has been successful in bringing back several concussed players on this team over the last 2 years. Deshaun Jackson, Riley Cooper, Jason Avant. And you know what, Wendy? Giving Vince Young and or Mike Kafka some early practice reps really can't hurt either.
Sal, thank you. As we take a closer look to that protocol you referred to, here is the concussion process. Once removed for the duration of a practice or game, the player should not be considered for return until these things. He's fully asymptomatic, both at rest and after exertion, has a normal neurological examination, has normal neuropsychological testing, and has been cleared to return by both his team physician and this is important, an independent neurological consultant. We know several notable players missed time last year with concussion. In the season opener against the Packers, Kevin Kolb suffered a concussion after he was hit by Clay Matthews. He was replaced by Michael Vick. Aaron Rodgers suffered 2 concussions last season, the first in Week 5 against the Redskins. He came back the next week, but then again in Week 14 against the Lions and missed the next game to be replaced by Matt Flynn. The Browns receiver Mohamed Massaquoi took a vicious shot from James Harrison. This was Week 6 against Pittsburgh. Massaquoi missed the next game. Harrison, in that case, was fined for the hit. And Deshaun Jackson missed a game last year after taking a helmet-to-helmet from Dante Robinson in Week 6. Robinson initially fined $50,000. It was reduced to $25,000 after the appeal. You have to assume, though, Chris, that the Eagles knew they would not have Michael Vick for all 16 games, something bound to happen. So how have they prepared for the absence of their quarterback?
Well, the number one thing they did when they gave Michael Vick the big contract, You know, because only once during his career he's been in there for 16 games. So you have to have a contingency plan. And that was get experience back up. That's what Andy Reid does better than a lot of coaches in the league. Goes out and gets Vince Young, a guy that has starting experience, playoff experience, and just in case those 3 to 5 weeks when Michael Vick is not going to be there, he has that viable backup. He can run the same offense, Marcellus.
Yeah, you can't run the same offense because you have weapons around. You talk about Jerry Maclin, you talk about Deshaun Jackson, and now to the backfield, you talk about LaShawn McCoy. So those are going to be the supporting cast that you have to rely on in case Michael Vick isn't ready. But Michael Vick, the one thing he needs right now is rest, and the one thing he doesn't have right now is time. So it's going to be a critical situation. What happens for that Wednesday practice? Is Mike Vick going to be on that practice field, or is he going to get that proper rest?
Vick, unfortunately, was certainly not the only high-profile injury on Sunday. There was Cowboys quarterback Tony Romo. He suffered a fractured rib, and then we learned on Monday also a small puncture in his lung. But a punctured lung is just that. This happened on the Cowboys' first series of their win over the 49ers.
I don't know. I really don't. I understand the nature of the injury as much as you can without being in medicine, and we'll just have to see how it goes. It has everything to do with just his ability to handle the pain, and we know he's got a bunch of it. So we'll see how that goes and see how he'll be monitored, obviously, extremely closely regarding the pneumothorax, and we'll see how that goes.
For more, we welcome in ESPNDallas.com's Tim McMahon. Tim, how do the Cowboys plan to handle Romo this week?
Well, they plan to have the athletic trainers work overtime. They do think that his punctured lung is a very small puncture. They don't expect that to be a problem Monday night. Really, it comes down to pain tolerance for Tony Romo. And if he told me Sunday night after they beat the 49ers, if he could play in that game, he doesn't see any way that the pain could be any worse 8 days from then for the Monday night game. Unfortunately for Romo and the Cowboys, it does not look like he'll have his favorite wide receiver, Miles Austin, who's out maybe through the bye week with a hamstring strain.
Tim, thank you. If nothing else, he gets the benefit of an extra day given the Cowboys play on Monday. Here's a look at the before and after. After taking a beating at the hands of the Niners defense, he battled that rib injury to complete 75% of his passes, including, and this was the big one, the game-winning drive and a crucial road win. He played, considerably better late in this game, where he led the team to 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter and overtime, silencing many of his critics in the meantime. Chris, you've played through pain. I would venture to say every player in the NFL has played through some type of pain. What's it like?
Well, I think that ultimately our mindset's a little bit different. We realize as professional players that that's part of the deal, that you're going to have to play hurt. And I think from a coaching staff standpoint that, the coaches are trying to implement that tough mental approach in football. That's the thing about football that makes it so different than the other sports. It's the physical, the mental toughness. You're going to have to play hurt. No one's going to be healthy. But to me, it's the accountability to your teammate. That you know that I'm going to play regardless of what happens to me. If I can be out there, and there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. Well, I wanted to play when I was hurt.
Marcellus, before you answer, here's my question. At what point is there that balance between accountability to your teammates to play, but also knowing that when you can't, accountability to your teammates to sit it out because you can't contribute?
Well, you talk about accountability, and I've been in this situation before where there's also self-imposed pressure. And you saw after week one in the loss to the Jets that Tony Romo felt like he had to go out there and avenge that loss, and because of the style and the way that they lost that football game. And I went through the same thing in 2001, different circumstances, but 2001, right before our first regular season home game, I break my foot. So the entire season, I'm going out there, no practice, getting 2 injections in my foot, and still went out there and played well. But it was because this was a year after a big contract was signed. I felt the pressure from the fan base. How am I going to get all this money sitting on the sidelines? So that pressure on top of that accountability is what Tony Romo.
I think the number one thing is performance. Can you perform at a level that your teammates, that you can win? And Tony Romo, you saw his performance before the injury and after the injury. Even after the injury, played better. When you're hurt, can you still help your football team? In 1998, I tore my left calf, second week of the season. 5 weeks later, tore my other calf. Now, that was the year we went 15-1, Randy Moss on the team, 17 touchdowns as a rookie. I felt the pressure to still keep up to a Pro Bowl level, even though I wasn't practicing.
We'll see what happens with Romo, but I do think he makes a fair point. How can it hurt worse 8 days later than it did in the second half of that game, you know, when it had happened an hour prior to?
I would have to disagree with him there, because when you got the adrenaline flowing and you're not thinking about it, you're okay. When you got to go around into it, it's a different
The thing about his, it's an acute injury. So you can, as far as once he gets to game day, you can put the needle in such that little precise area just to numb that one area. That helps out a lot.
He does have the extra day. Cowboys, of course, play the Redskins on Monday. The NFC East has a wealth of backup quarterbacks. We may see some, including 3 former full-time starters. Tony Romo's backup, 15-year veteran John Kitna. He saw action in Week 2 while Romo was out. Vince Young with the Eagles. If Michael Vick cannot play, it will likely be Young. And David Carr, Eli Manning's backup. He, however, has not been busy. Manning currently the longest active start streak in the NFL. Speaking of Eli Manning and the G-Men, the Giants prevailed Monday night in the Meadowlands, but still, is there potential for problems? Chris Carter explains, and believe it or not, the Pats aren't perfect. I know. We're going to tell you why.
In Super Bowl 34 against the Tennessee Titans, the St. Louis Rams hope to write the final chapter in their storybook season. The Rams took a 16-0 lead when former NFL Europe star Kurt Warner hit Torrey Holt in the third quarter. The Titans responded with a rushing attack courtesy of Eddie George.
What a run! Touchdown, Titans!
With the game tied at 16 late in the fourth quarter, the Rams retaliated.
It is caught by Isaac Bruce. Makes a move to the 30, 25-20, and they won't catch him today. Touchdown, Rams!
The Titans still had one last chance.
McNair drops, throws right side for Dyson. He dives for the end zone. He came up 1 yard short.
An MVP trophy for Warner and a Super Bowl ring for head coach Dick Vermeil finalized this Cinderella story.
Look out! We're catching, folks.
Patrick Peterson, cornerback, LSU.
We have Deion Sanders out there to catch him.
Utilizing state-of-the-art eye-tracking technology, we'll analyze how effectively Peterson reads a quarterback's cues and reacts to defend either a pass or a run.
Being hooked up to all these gadgets, and I pretty much feel like a machine right now.
3, 2, 1, go! The average NFL QB's release time is roughly 0.4 of a second. And a pass that travels 20 yards through the air at 35 miles per hour takes just over 1 second to reach its target. This means that based on his reaction time, ability to change direction, and acceleration, if he's within 15 feet of the receiver, when the QB releases a pass that travels 20 yards through the air, Peterson can get a hand on the ball every time. For ESPN Sports Science, I'm John Brinkus.
This Week in Baseball covers the major leagues like no one else. Get deeper into the game and see MLB like you've never seen it before. Check in on the Fan Cave.
This place is awesome.
Learn the proper technique.
Fundamentals, youngsters. Keep working at it.
And catch all the top plays. Plus, with in-depth weekly features, Twib is your source for all things baseball. This Week in Baseball, all season long on ESPN America.
Pack him up, go home.
It was Monday night. Sam Bradford and the Rams on the road in the Meadowlands. Rams on the move here. Bradford to Denario Alexander deep down the sideline. He's not touched.
Yeah, you talk about fundamental football right there. When you see a guy on the ground, you didn't touch him. What you supposed to do, Chris? Touch him, right?
Come on, man. You guys,
Come on, Deion.
Pro football. Touch him down.
3rd and goal here. Bradford under pressure. This one incomplete. And St. Louis would have to settle for a field goal. 3-0 Rams. Giants punting here later in the quarter. Steve Weatherford with the punt, but it's a rookie. What happens here, gentlemen?
Muff punt here. He probably said the lights, ball in the lights.
He saw lights, all right. Giants take over at St. Louis 38. Manning to Hakeem Nicks for the fade. As we take another look.
Yeah, you look at that. That's what they call aerial awareness. When you know where that football is, you go out there and make that grab.
Rams trailing by a point here. Ball in the Giants 25. Bradford to Cadillac Williams, who drops it, but it's ruled a lateral.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, now that's Pop Warner right there. When you know when there's a lateral at the running back position, you have to go retrieve this ball. And Cadillac Williams, every Cadillac I've been in has a reverse switch. That means go back and get that ball right there instead of act like you don't know what's going on.
When they run the play in practice, you always recover the fumble.
Yeah, always.
Always.
Manning here to Dominic Hickson. This one tipped in the air, but he makes the catch. He makes that one.
Nice play on the ball down the middle. He had single coverage on the safety here. But juggling act, nice hand-eye coordination.
28-16 Giants. Here's the quarterback.
I thought we got off to a slow start, and overall not as sound as we needed to. But I thought we finally put together some key drives. It's important points in the game. Second half, we did some good things. Had a couple big drives to give us extend the lead and put the Rams in a bind a little bit. And when teams all of a sudden you can get a lead and you make teams have to drop back and throw the ball a bunch with our defensive front and the way they're playing it, that's tough.
Well, taking you to Samsung next level with Sam Bradford and Eli Manning with the secondary depleted by injuries. The Giants asked their front seven to be aggressive with added pass pressure against Bradford, but it was Manning that actually faced a higher percentage of such pressures Monday night, with both of his passing touchdowns in this one coming against added pressure. We bring in our NFL insider, John Clayton. And John, both Mario Manningham and Dominic Hickson injured Monday night. What are the chances the Giants bring in another wide receiver for Manning?
Well, they did bring in one over the weekend that now probably will get a little bit more time to play, and that's Brandon Stokely. Stokely now can work the slot, which, of course, that's going to be needed, too. Hicksman's been working the slot. But first, you worry about a concussion. That's Mario Manningham's problem. Didn't appear to be too bad. Also, his neck was sore, too. Like all other players with the concussions, they have to pass the baseline text. Hickson just simply banged up. And, of course, coming off the major knee injury, you worry a little bit. But the knee's going to be fine. So they still might be able to have both guys for Sunday. I'd say of the two, Manningham's the one of more concern, but Stokely's there, and if necessary, they can go to the practice squad just to add one. By the way, Hakeem Nicks still banged up with that knee, but he played and did some good things last night.
So John, thank you. In the win over the Rams, the Giants really got back to basics. They ran the ball 54% of the time. Last week against the Redskins, the Giants only rushed the ball 20 times for 75 yards, and in the Tom Coughlin era, the Giants are 1-17 when they rush the ball 20 or fewer times. 38 times they ran the ball Monday night. So, Chris, I start with you. Is this the best plan for the New York Giants right now?
Well, as an offensive football team, you have to try to come up with a plan of how we're going to move the ball down the field and how we're going to score points. And for the New York Football Giants, the best recipe for success right now, 38 times, I'm a wide receiver. I'm not even happy with that. They need to run it 48 times. I would pull the reins in on Eli a little more. I would go back to the power running game, play to my strength as far as my defense. And the reason why is because that's the best thing for this offense. They have no offensive threat at tight end. All their top three receivers are all banged up, so they're going to miss a lot of practice time. I would rely on those three starters on that offensive line that were there in 2007 when they won the Super Bowl. That's what I would do, Marcellus.
Yeah, and that was the formula for success for this team, was to run the football and go out there and pressure the opposing quarterbacks. So you got to return to the identity if you want to have similar success. And right now, because of the turnovers by Eli Manning, it's important that you shorten the game. So what if you don't get the yardage, 38 carries, 119 yards, but you shorten the game because you get time of possession in your favor? And that's what the Giants need to do.
Manning on the record saying, I don't care how we move the football. I don't care who's involved. Let's just do it. And that, of course, is what they're after. John Clayton is back with us. John, Cam Newton has been tremendous, though his team is 0-2, 422 yards week one, 432 this week. But he shows up today with a boot. What's going on?
Well, they're just being extra protective because of how valuable he's been. Nothing to worry about, just a sore ankle, but they put it in a boot just to try to keep the mobility down, keep the swelling down. He says he's going to be able to play, and I don't think you can doubt it. Hey, everybody doubted him coming into the season. Now he's put up 422 and 432. Everything's going to be set for him to start on Sunday. As far as in Denver, Eddie Royal's going to miss 2 to 4 weeks with a groin injury. That's a big setback, but they do think that they will have Brandon Lloyd back. You know, he missed this one game, but still, overall, they'll be down one receiver for sure. Royal worked the slot, and they've already going to have a look for a receiver. Peyton Manning was at practice. No, he's not practicing. He's not close to coming back. He's rehabbing. In fact, he got back from stem cell research to try to see if he can speed up the healing process. Nobody knows how long it's going to take, but everybody expects it's probably going to be another 2 months. And finally, the Dallas Cowboys with Tony Romo. You know he has the rib injury, but there are 8 other starters that have injuries. You look at Felix Jones with that separated shoulder. Miles Austin's probably going to miss the game with a hamstring injury. They also have Terrence Newman with a groin. He expected to be back. This team is really banged up. The key, though, is getting Romo back.
John, thank you. Also of note, Dante Robinson fined $40,000 for his hit Sunday night on Eagles wide receiver Jeremy Maclin. Don't forget, Robinson, a repeat offender. He was fined $25,000 last season for a similar hit on Deshaun Jackson. The Patriots are 2-0, and in case you missed it, they've put some points on the board. How good are they? A reality check up next.
Thursday Night Baseball live on ESPN America. With the season winding down, the Yanks are in familiar territory on top of the AL East. But the Rays are primed for a last-ditch charge at the postseason. Rays at Yankees, live on ESPN America.
Enjoying the moment, baby. Deshaun Jackson is so special.
He's at the 40. He's at the 45. Midfield. Deshaun Jackson. Oh! I don't care if he jumps, dives, he's running around. And he is in the end zone. And the Eagles win.
The site of Super Bowl 16 was a cold and icy Silverdome in Pontiac, Michigan, where the San Francisco 49ers took on the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Montana's controlled passing helped San Francisco build a solid lead and shut out Cincinnati in the first half. But the Bengals bounced back in the second half, narrowing the gap to 20-14. Quarterback Ken Anderson connected with Dan Ross for a 4-yard touchdown pass and later scored on a 5-yard touchdown run. But with Ray Wersching's record-tying 4 field goals, the 49ers maintained the lead and took home the Lombardi Trophy.
Welcome back to SportsCenter on ESPN America, and we begin. The English know how to drive.
Yes, they do.
When you walk the walk, you can talk the talk.
We had some baseball history.
It was worth the wait.
Don't know if you've heard, but
we can finally exhale.
It ain't bragging if you can do it. You can't hear what he's saying.
No, I can't.
With all this talent,
you never know what's going to happen.
Don't miss SportsCenter weekdays on ESPN America.
The New England Patriots have been tremendous so far. Through 2, Brady has thrown for 940 total yards, the most by any player in the team's first 2 games in NFL history. He's thrown for over 400 yards in each of the Patriots' first 2 games this season, joining Cam Newton as the only players in NFL history to do that. And oh, by the way, after scoring 35 points against the Chargers in Week 2, the team has now scored 30 or more points in 10 straight games. Second longest streak in NFL history. They make it look easy. It also extended Tom Brady's unbeaten home regular season winning streak to 29 games. He hasn't lost at Gillette Stadium in the regular season since 2006. That is all well and good, but we all need a reality check. So here's what we're going to do. 30 seconds on the clock, and we are going to begin. 45. You have 15 extra seconds.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Need
All right. We start with the Patriots. Is the Patriots offense overcoming or covering for deficiencies in the team's defense?
Well, of course they are, but nothing wrong with that because last time I checked the scoreboard, they put up points that the offense may score or the defense may score, but it's a team victory. So you got to ride Tom Brady as much as you can. And this is an offense right now that is so prolific that, hey, I have no slight with it if I'm on defense.
Right. If you look at the top, Brady, Manning, Green Bay, is Aaron Rodgers. Only team that has a defense is Aaron Rodgers. So most of the teams that have the great quarterback and great offense, they don't have a great defense.
Can they win, though, if Brady doesn't have a lights-out day?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not.
And we saw that in the playoffs. We saw it in the playoffs, and the Jets came out in the zone.
He has an off day. The Patriots have an off.
Bart Scott voice. They can't stop the nosebleed.
All right. 0-2 teams. The one in the most trouble, Kansas City, Seattle, or Minnesota?
That's easy for me. I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs right now. First of all, when you come into a season, you have high expectations like this team did because they won the division last year. You start to say, hey, we got to hit the ground running. And when you're 0-2 and you've been blown out of your first two performances and you lost your best player on defense, Eric Berry, and Jamal Charles now for the season, hey, you know where you're going. You're starting to tank it.
The scouting report for all three of these teams are not good. Seattle scored 17 points. Kansas City, they got serious internal problems. Todd Haley, don't know if he's longing to be in Kansas City. And Minnesota, I'm going to stop wearing my purple now if they just keep playing like that.
They improved from week 1 to week 2. At least McNabb
did. You just hear me? Okay. McNabb, Vikings, I'm putting y'all on. Hey, listen. I'm going to stop wearing my purple now.
You got it on today, so you still believe
That's not right. All right, next question. Given where they are and given the injury and the absence of Peyton Manning, should the Colts just let it go, blow this thing up, and start a rebuilding process?
Oh, how? How do you do that? How do you transmit that message to a team? How do you tank it from the locker room within? You can't do that. No, this is a team that needs to go out there and still play hard and save the culture of winning. Because if you start to tank a season, all of a sudden it becomes a culture of losing, and it takes a while for that to change back.
All they need to do is keep the same system they have, and they're going to get lucky.
Lucky.
And they'll get lucky. And then they're gonna win the luck sweepstakes. And get the quarterback from Stanford to put the horseshoe on his helmet. And then they're gonna keep the same system because Dwight Freeney is not gonna change. You can't teach him to play the run. The type of players that they have, that defense, quick, light on their feet, it's not gonna happen.
All right. Andrew Luck.
I heard him.
Do the Panthers' game plan of letting Cam throw it for 400 yards every week, is that the best formula for Carolina to win?
I actually think it is because if you think about this quarterback-driven league, it's a passing league. So right now you want this guy to be thrown to the fire and be ready for those situations when they come. No, this is not a team in playoff contention. It won't be. But at the same time, you are getting some valuable lessons and growing pains at the most valuable position.
Right. I think through training camp, the coaches could see that Cam was really developing as a passer and that they were going to be able to win with him throwing the ball. But now it's time to put some of that pressure on that offensive line. They're doing a good job as far as pass protection, but they need to be able to run the ball better. You can't back this kid up and expect 400 yards passing the game. He's doing more than his part.
Well, 422, 432. I mean, he may be a great quarterback. He can't keep that up.
He's a good quarterback.
We may see.
When I was a kid, if I could have picked up my cell phone and texted Deion Sanders and then get a text back, because that's pretty much what we're doing because it's on my phone, I would have lost my mind.
To tweet or not to tweet, we have differing opinions. We'll tell you who's saying what, where, and why. Up next.
In a rematch of Super Bowl X, the Dallas Cowboys again fell to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh quarterback Terry Bradshaw threw for 318 yards to earn the award for the most valuable player. The Cowboys kept pace, but when the clock finally ticked down, the Pittsburgh Steelers had their third Super Bowl title. The following year, Pittsburgh again made it to the big game. taking on the Los Angeles Rams in Super Bowl 14.
Bradshaw pumping, firing downfield. There goes Stallworth. He pulls it in at the 30.
In the final period, Bradshaw lofted a 73-yard touchdown pass to John Stallworth to put the Steelers in front to stay. Franco Harris then scored on a 1-yard run to capture the 4th Super Bowl for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
This September on ESPN America, temperatures are cooling down, but the action is heating up. The hunt for October is on as MLB's top teams gear up for the pennant races. Plus, it's that time of year again. It's back to campus as college football returns. And the new NFL season kicks off. Get ready for all the hits, all the catches, and all the glory. The brightest stars, the biggest games, all month long, live on ESPN America.
Yeah, it is. And here's headlines at the half. The Eagles say they're in no hurry to rush Michael Vick back from a concussion. Vick will undergo more tests this week, and his status for Sunday remains uncertain. Tony Romo, however, says he will play Monday despite a fractured rib and a punctured lung. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones told fans on Tuesday pain will likely be the determining factor for his quarterback. Everybody's tweeting about Tony Romo. From hero to goat to hero, I should say. Romo is a tough dude. Don't like Cowboys, but you have to get credit when it's due. Romo showed toughness by playing through pain, but have to say Tony Romo is fragile. Lots of injuries. An AGR jet. Tony Romo has a cracked rib and a punctured lung. I don't think there is any doubt about his toughness. Like Facebook before it, there were some who were quick to dismiss Twitter as a passing fad. Instead, it has become a virtual calling card for our culture, a way to both make and break news in a news cycle that never stops. ESPN.com's Greg Garber looks at how the NFL finally got in the game.
Tweeting is almost like giving your own personal press conference. You know, once you put it out there, it's out there for the world to see.
When I was a kid, if I could have picked up my cell phone and texted Deion Sanders and then get a text back, because that's pretty much what we're doing because it's on my phone, I would have lost my mind.
The NFL became America's richest, most successful sports league by meticulously managing its message. With Twitter, that legendary control is gone, and the NFL says it's okay with that.
What happened to the No Fun League?
That's another great thing about Twitter is you can have a lot of fun with it and show some humor and do some things that can maybe break down that stereotype.
More than half of the league's 1,800 active players have Twitter accounts, including Green Bay quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Twitter provides a level playing field, from Broncos tight end Virgil Green to Colts owner Jim Irsay to Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, and even Senior Vice President of Public Relations Greg Aiello.
How many followers do you have?
Well, not that I'm counting, but I think it's, as of today, 28,514. Again, not that I'm counting.
In August 2009, the NFL officially embraced Twitter when it unveiled its social media policy. As part of that policy, the league imposed a social media blackout beginning 90 minutes before kickoff through post-game interviews. 2 players have been fined by the league for violating that policy: Patriots receiver Chad Ochocinco and Arizona defensive tackle Darnell Dockett.
I kind of think about what I tweet for the most part, at least Monday through Thursday. The other days I really don't care.
I've just been tweeting and having fun. It's refreshing, it's different, and I'm just really enjoying it.
More than anyone, Ochocinco is the master of this emerging medium. No one has more followers. Last year, as a member of the Bengals, he tweeted, then took 85 Browns fans out for a steak dinner the night before the game in Cleveland.
Brown fans, what's up?
Ocho fans.
Cool. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
It was essentially a business meal for Ochocinco, who, like the rest of the league, understands there's money to be made from building the brand.
It's great, thank you.
You're welcome, baby.
Clearly, Twitter is an effective promotional tool, but it comes with a double-edged blade.
I think we've all written something on Twitter and looked at it and said, maybe I shouldn't send that.
Back in May, Steelers running back Rashard Mendenhall wondered after Osama bin Laden's death whether 9/11 was really an act of terrorism.
Can you believe, Randy, in the biggest game of his career, he's knocked out at least temporarily?
The growing power of Twitter revealed itself last January when Bears quarterback Jay Cutler was widely criticized for coming out of the NFC Championship game before it was known he had suffered a serious knee injury. Jaguars running back Maurice Jones-Drew was among his harshest critics.
Everyone's got an opinion, and with the social media, it's instant access. So guys might say something and then regret it later, or maybe not.
Now NFL tweeters can break news faster than the traditional media. When Texans running back Arian Foster tweeted the MRI of his injured hamstring on August 31, essentially telling the Colts he wouldn't be ready for their opener, critics wondered if this put his Texans at a competitive disadvantage. Giants senior vice president Pat Hanlon says Twitter gets the message out in a back-to-the-future way.
We have always been a league that has prided itself on PR. This dates back to Pete Rozelle. That's customer service. That's communicating with your fans.
When fans tweeted their unhappiness with the Giants' lack of free agent acquisitions, Hanlon responded swiftly.
I know I look stupid and I say some stupid things, but I'm really not stupid. And I understand that I represent something a lot bigger than myself. We're in a changing environment.
It's just having a little fun, just letting people know, man, look, I'm human. Let me show you who I really am. Let me show you what I'm really about.
We are a fun league. Doesn't get any more fun than this.
He looks like he's having fun, right? It's like a virtual party right there.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Twitter, most people tweet, and Marcellus and Chris, we have dissenting opinions here because Marcellus, you're on that thing all the time, right?
Yeah.
And tell me your philosophy behind Twitter.
Well, I mean, I love it for what it is. I mean, it kind of divides itself. It's either an aggregate of information, you can use it in that way, or it's also a situation where you can have some fun, talk a little minutia, and just have a little gossip. I mean, but the thing about it is I am glad that I played my entire career without the creation of Twitter because, one, I don't want to know all the pessimistic and all the hate that's going on and criticism that occurs around the game of football. When I played, we had a local beat writer, and then if we made some real noise, ESPN covered our game. But other than that, these players are now going through a situation where they're hearing every little detail, and I think that affects today's players in ways that they're not giving it credit.
I just think that they're consumed with everything.
And let's get this. You do not tweet.
No, I've never
Chris
tweeted.
Squire does not. Do you have a Twitter account?
It has nothing to do with the technology part because I follow Twitter. I follow what's going on. I use it as information. But to me, I've been under the spotlight my whole life. And I've been playing football since I was 8, highly recruited. Like, I don't see a need for people to know where I am.
Well, it's not just that. But what about the fact that you have a voice? I mean, future Hall of Famer.
I'm on TV.
But not everyone has that same voice. So they see a play out there, and this has happened too many times. You go out there and do what coach says to do. Then you take the criticism for it as a player, and now they're sitting there throwing the mic in your hand, in your face. You want to be able to answer that in a way that you couldn't before.
You can't explain being a professional athlete. You can't explain, like, if I called the vice chairman of GE today and asked him about his job and everything, he's not going to explain that to me. That's part of being a professional. Like, you're not going to be able to explain it. And from what I see on Twitter, most of the fans, they know more about football, but they don't understand more football. Now, if Twitter helped them understand more football, I'm all about it.
Well, and I'll use baseball, just we'll say clubhouse for the sake of argument. What happened what happens in the clubhouse stays in the clubhouse mentality? Because to your point, Marcellus, that gets a little dicey, doesn't it? Now all of a sudden with Twitter, and Greg Garber talked about you can't control the message, and it's so easy to put that out there and then regret it in an instant.
Yeah, well, the tough thing is today's players are putting on a journalist hat, and then they're trying to do a job that they're not really poised to do because you have your emotions and you have all the things that you're invested in your game, your sport, your livelihood, and then someone criticizes that. You do want to go out there and respond to that, and that's the tough thing. But for the billions and billions of tweets that have been sent, very few of them have actually crossed that line, I think.
Well, I read a lot of tweets, and it's not crossing the line. They just say a lot of idiotic stuff.
Yeah.
And stop letting people know where you are.
Okay.
You.
Oh, return that location. You know what?
He's
I
gonna
tell you,
start
hey,
tweeting
I
when
tell you where
Marcellus
I'm
is going
at
to
after I'm gone. So if I say I'm in Vegas, guess what? I'm already in L.A.
All right, here we do have time for a few Twitter questions. Marcellus is from De SoCal Bear. You know what? I apologize. We're going to go with Corey ZZ. Do you think the Jets are overrated?
No, they're not overrated. I mean, this is a team that's won 2 ball games. It's a team that's been to 2 AFC championship games. So how else would you rate them? I mean, they're still keeping the train rolling. No.
I think they're going to have a hard time getting back to the AFC Championship because they're going to have to play a road game. This is a football team. Their margin of error is really, really small, so they're probably going to lose 5 or 6 games during the regular season.
But Mark Sanchez is great in the playoffs on the road.
All right, we continue. CPT indifference. We'll have to get to that when we come back because we got to talk waiver wire. It is Waiver Wire Tuesday. A little fantasy update. Eric Carabell coming up.
College football lives here. Coverage starts with College Game Day, Saturday at 1500 CET, live on ESPN America.
Let's go, boys. Hey, let's go,
In
man.
Super Bowl IV, the Kansas City Chiefs proved to the world that the AFL had pulled even with the NFL. Kansas City kicker Jan Stenerud connected on 3 field goals as the Chiefs led 9-0. Chiefs quarterback Len Dawson called a nearly flawless game, completing 12 of 17 passes and hitting Otis Taylor on a 46-yard play for Kansas City's final touchdown. With the help of a defense that held the Viking offense to only 67 total yards, the Chiefs proved they had come of age.
Gets taken down by Adrian Wilson. Ware coming. Ware's got Cobb again. Pressure and it goes down. Being chased and sacked. Blasting across the line of scrimmage. He's going to be hit and sacked at the 15-yard line. He's hit from behind and sacked. Oh, what a play. Under pressure on the run. He's going to be sacked.
Winning is not a sometime thing, it's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while, and you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. It is and always has been an American zeal, and that's to be first, regardless of what we do. And to win, and to win, and to win. But I firmly hold that a man's finest hour is that moment when he's worked his heart out in a good cause and lays exhausted on the field of battle, victorious.
ESPN.com's power rankings are out. The top 2 unchanged, with the Packers at the top spot, followed by the Patriots. The Jets at 3. The Houston Texans jumped from 10th to 5th. The remainder of the top 10 features 5 1-1 teams, with the Eagles, Ravens, and Bears all losing in week 2. It was a good week 2, despite the injuries, and we're going to be glass half full. So let's start, Chris, with who impressed you the most?
I got to start right with the #1 draft pick. That's Cam Newton. His ability to comprehend the NFL offense in a lockout year, lack of training camp time, lack of time in the playbook, lack of time with his wide receivers, the ability to come from a spread, run offense at Auburn University, taking them to a national championship. To what he's doing in the first 2 weeks, that's the most impressive thing in NFL.
Yeah, I have to agree with you, man. Who would have predicted this much success in his first 2 weeks? But this is just one of those type of players that hits the ground running. JUCO National Championship, SEC, Auburn National Championship, now in the NFL in 2 weeks, balling out of control.
He's balling, as you say, Marcellus.
Sure.
All right, we have to talk about players who depressed you, or situations that depressed you.
Well, I don't really think there's a team yet. It's still earlier in the season, or one player. But I'm depressed about the overall injury, especially the skilled guys. Running backs, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and DBs. you go around the National Football League this offseason, I thought there were going to be a lot of injuries, but couldn't estimate the many amount of injuries I've seen.
Yeah, I don't want to crush any team because I was 0-3 before and we made the playoffs. But the injuries, I mean, you know what, this whole offseason, guys weren't working out with the team at the facilities. We all said, okay, they'll be professional and they'll work out by themselves. I don't know about that because all of these injuries.
All right, speaking of injuries, a lot of fantasy teams hurting now. So with that, we bring in Eric Karabell from ESPN.com Fantasy. Eric, who should owners be targeting in terms of replacements for some of those injured players?
Well, Ben Tate of the Houston Texans, he's really good, folks, and I don't think Arian Foster is going to play this week. Ben Tate's rushing for 100 yards weekly now, and I think he's pretty safe at this point. Obviously, he's owned in more than half of ESPN's league. So is Thomas Jones of the Chiefs. But get Tate, and I think this week Tate is a good running back, too, which means you should be starting this guy. He's going to help you win. Roy Helu in Washington is a rookie. I generally don't recommend them, but he's just better than Tim Hightower, and I think Mike Shanahan knows this. In the second half last week, Helu was the guy getting all the carries. He's going to be the guy getting all the carries by around week 5. Get him now before someone else in your league does. In Indianapolis, they're having trouble scoring points. When Carter's on the field, he gets the ball. He doesn't play that many plays. Joseph Adai is obviously not going to lose too much time here, but Carter's going to be the goal line guy, and I think pretty soon you'll see him getting 60 to 70 yards per game. That's pretty good, and he's available in a lot of leagues. Now in Denver, Kyle Orton's going to throw the ball an awful lot. Through 11 weeks last season, he was leading the league in passing yards. Eric Decker could be this year's Brandon Lloyd. He's healthy, he's off to a great start, and even when Lloyd comes back, I think Decker's going to put up numbers. Look, this is a good Denver offense passing-wise, and it's a good Buffalo offense, too. And David Nelson is going to get his points here, and he's available in so many leagues, people. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws the ball more than you think, and he's very accurate as well. There's room for 2 receivers along with Steve Johnson. David Nelson is a decent play, actually, this week against New England. And then finally, Denarius Moore in Oakland. Now, we've been waiting for all these young Raiders wide receivers. Moore is legit. Very good player. Stop waiting on Jacoby Ford. I think Jason Campbell's going to throw the ball an awful lot, and I think Moore is going to be the beneficiary. And if you need a quarterback, and if you own Michael Vick, I think you do. I don't think he's playing this week. Ryan Fitzpatrick, Rex Grossman, and then Andy Dalton are my choices. But don't forget about Philly. Mike Kafka would be my number 20 quarterback if he has to start.
Eric, thank you. The Broncos, the Bengals, the Bears, the Saints, the Cowboys. It's all plays of the week up next.
What a catch! Oh, my heavens!
I'm a well-conditioned athlete, didn't need any oxygen.
The AFC wildcard Denver Broncos climbed to the top to pull off an upset over the favored Green Bay Packers.
And goal from the 1, Elway.
Denver running back Terrell Davis rushed for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns to become the MVP. With this victory, the Broncos ended the NFC's 13-season Super Bowl winning streak. In 1999, no one was surprised to see John Elway and his Broncos back in the big game as they took on the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 33.
Down deep the middle of the field, Rod Smith's got it!
Elway completed 18 of 29 passes for 336 yards and a touchdown and ran for another score himself to clinch back-to-back Super Bowls for the Denver Broncos.
Super Bowl 33 is history. The Denver Broncos are world champions once again. Quick snap, Gronkowski on 3rd and 12. It's wide open. It's the first catch. A.J. Green on a 41-yard touchdown, beating Hayden. And for Green, that is his first NFL reception, and it's good for 6. Holy Toledo.
Stunning play by the Bengals. You have a veteran quarterback in for A.J. Dalton. Joe Hayden doesn't get out on the perimeter by the time they snap the ball, and A.J. Green takes off for the end zone, and Bruce Gronkowski finds him for a touchdown. See it right there? Yeah. He doesn't get there. Quick snap.
The defense wasn't set.
But the offense was.
It was.
And they don't have to wait for you if you're on defense.
Absolutely.
It is the new season, and we are set for
football. And here we go.
He's going to air one out down the middle. He's caught.
The NFL all season long, live on ESPN America HD.
Alex looking left, throws a fade to the back corner for Williams, and he has got it! Touchdown, 49ers! Great catch by Kyle Williams!
That was good, but not good enough. Didn't quite make the top plays of the book. Number 10, though, Chris.
Let's start with number 10. Cincinnati rookie to rookie. Here we go. Andy Dalton to A.J. Green. Look at the footwork. Now, trust me, don't normally see that out of a rookie.
Number 9, the Bears and Saints at the Superdome, and here comes Drew Brees.
Yeah, you can see the Bears on the road to the party, but the party is for the Saints, as you can see. Drew Brees throws the big bomb to Devery Henderson, one of the fastest guys in the league. Can he run with you, Chris? I don't think.
Hey, he'd be running ahead of me. That would be accurate.
Look at that bomb right there. Perfect strike right there. That's a dime, as you can see Devery Henderson in stride. If you're that fast and you catch the ball in stride, that usually means touchdown.
Man, throw that thing to me. Number 8, Cowboys at 49ers travel to overtime. Jesse Holley straight into your living room, straight off a reality show. Also on the national championship North Carolina basketball team, 2004 and 5.
Fitzpatrick from the shotgun, 4th and 1 at the 6. The snap, Fitz, look, fires wide open, end zone, touchdown, touchdown, David Nelson, touchdown Buffalo. I can't believe it, touchdown Buffalo, unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm not a homer, but I used to play for the Bills. Go Bills, baby.
How about this, the Chargers and the Patriots, and this featuring a
well-conditioned athlete. Look at this now. He's one of the best athletes in the league. Ball control, high and tight.
I want to see it again and again. He says he doesn't need oxygen.
I don't think those words should go together, well and conditioned. Well, I see his condition. It looks like he's struggling right there.
Number 5, Seattle versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right here, Ben Roethlisberger making time right here. Drops a dime to Mike Watt. Ooh, snatched that right off the ground. Big play right there. Look at them gloves. Those gloves are amazing.
Yeah, those
Steelers
wheels
win
are
that
too.
one, 24-0. 8 receptions, 126 yards, and a TD for Wallace.
Now, that's fast.
How about we go back to New England? The Patriots and Chargers this time, though. Phillip Rivers to Vincent Jackson between 3 Patriot defenders.
Yeah, well, when you're Vincent Jackson with that kind of size and that kind of speed, you go out there and you could do some amazing things, even acrobatic one-hand catch.
Jackson, 10 catches, 172 yards on the day, 2 TDs.
Raiders, 5th-round pick Denarius Moore. Here he goes, the 50-yard touchdown.
Now, you got to watch this kid from the University of Tennessee, a rookie, makes an outstanding play.
Look at him right there. That's the aerial awareness I always talk about. You got to assault the ball when it's up in the air. You got to come down with it to get the touchdown.
146 yards for Moore, but the Raiders lose this one Monday night.
Monday night, Giants versus the Rams. Eli Manning passed it. Dominic Hicks. I got that. That's a hot potato. I got it. Eli, I need a little bit better ball. Nice juggling act. Now, Giants receivers, they have a history of making the spectacular catches throughout the years.
Oh, that's a great play. Even though he got injured on it, 6 points.
And number 1.
He doesn't age. He doesn't get any older. Chris Carter.
Look at this. Now, this is great stuff. Utilizing the back of the end zone, one of the best tight ends that's ever played the game. Why use 2 hands when one would do?
I love it. Time now, Miller Lite tastes greatness. It is, without question, becoming the year of the quarterback. Week 2 set an NFL record for most net passing yards in a single week in NFL history with a grand total of 7,929 yards. You won't have to look back in the record books because the previous record took place in, how about week 1?
Last week.
NFL Live, still to come. We're going to talk about big matchups, including the defending champs and the Bears. Will Cutler get some protection? We'll talk games next.
When I saw the rundown today, I knew it was going to be a good day.
We're out of that kid.
A
little crazy here. You've become the most violent show on television. Oh, that was a good day.
Don't miss Sports Nation, weekdays on ESPN America.
The pageantry of Super Bowl 35 was larger than life.
Something else, huh? How cool is this?
The Baltimore Ravens took an early lead over the New York Giants with a Trent Dilfer touchdown pass to Brandon Stokely.
Throwing deep down the middle for Stokely. He's got it. 10-5. Touchdown. Brandon Stokely for the score.
Super Bowl MVP Ray Lewis led a Ravens defense that intercepted Giants quarterback Kerry Collins 4 times.
Slant over the middle, picked up by Dwayne Starks. He's got a touchdown. Touchdown to Dwayne Starks. And the best defense in the business is showing the world why. Yeah, baby!
With a 34-7 win, the Ravens captured their first Super Bowl victory in franchise history.
In just his second season, Mike Wallace became the Pittsburgh Steelers' #1 receiver with over 1,250 yards and 10 touchdowns. Wallace's speed made him a deep threat for the Steelers, averaging 21 yards per catch. He also led the league with 7 100-yard receiving games. After losing in the Super Bowl in 2010, the Steelers have a return trip in mind, and Mike Wallace will once again be one of the Steelers' biggest offensive weapons.
Sunday Night Football Live on ESPN America kicks off with our Week 3 tripleheader. First, Eli and the Giants make the short journey south to tackle Vic and the Eagles. Then it's the NFL's oldest rivalry as the defending champs touch down in Soldier Field. And with Peyton out, can the Colts topple Big Ben in Indy? It all starts at 1600 CET with Sunday NFL Countdown. Sunday Night Football live on ESPN America, home of the NFL.
All right, we have time for this Twitter question now. It was, does SoCal Bear, are the Chicago Bears' O-line problems fixable, Marcellus, or is Jay going to be running around for his life all season?
He might be running around all season for his life. Just think about it. They were missing their center, Olin Kreutz, and that's a big piece for them for the chemistry. But a lot of the pieces up front are the same, but that relationship between Mike Martz and those long-lasting developing plays and Jay Cutler's pocket awareness is an issue.
If you have Mike Martz as your offense coordinator, your quarterback's going to get hit.
Exactly.
Olin Kreutz couldn't fill the holes. They led the league in sacks getting up last year.
Yeah.
Homie.
Oh, yeah. Did you just?
Chemistry
All right. Some news and notes from around the league. Roscoe Parrish out for the remainder of the season with an ankle injury. Kenny Britt's court date to stand trial has been postponed because he's hiring a new attorney. The Vikings have reactivated Kevin Williams after a 2-game suspension, and ESPN Chicago reports that Gabe Carimi could be back sooner than expected. They are calling his injury a knee sprain. Time now for Next, presented by Dodge. Some Week 3 notable games around the National Football League. A battle of 2-0 teams square off. The upstart Bills looking to snap a 15-game losing streak. Good luck to the Patriots. The Giants are heading to Philly, and in prime time, the Redskins and Cowboys, we'll see about Tony Romo, rekindle their heated division rivalry at Cowboys Stadium on Monday Night Football. They will play with or without Tony Romo, to be sure, but what are you looking forward to in Week 3?
Oh, it's the battle of the undefeated. I'm talking about Ralph Wilson Stadium. I'm talking about those Buffalo Bills. Oh, yes, you know what? They haven't been to the playoffs since I was on that team. That was a long time ago, but now they're bringing in the Patriots. No wings this week. Secondary, keep your legs. Take it small, take it smart, because Tom Brady's coming.
I'm going back to the NFC Championship revisit from last year. Green Bay traveling back to Chicago. Get back game for the Bears.
I get you.
Can the Bills can beat the Patriots if they
Absolutely.
They can.
Home
We just
field
talked
advantage.
about Tom Brady, home field advantage. Tom Brady isn't on. For some reason, he has an off day. It happens.
And get off to a fast start. Hand that ball to Fred Jackson.
Sean Merriman make a guest appearance.
Oh, you slow down.
What will be the biggest surprise in Week 3?
That right there. I mean, I think that would be a huge surprise, first of all.
Well, it would be, but what do you think? What do you think will be the biggest? What actually you think will happen?
Well, I think the Patriots are going to do what they do. I mean, they're going to put up so many points. It's hard to compete with that. It's not only just the physical pressure you see and that scoreboard lighting up, but mentally you start to try and make too many adjustments. You can't keep pace.
I think there's another game you want to see. You want to see the Pittsburgh Steelers. They travel to Indianapolis. Used to be a big rivalry game. they're going to get after Kerry Collins.
And just in case you missed it, Michael Vick, his status remains uncertain. Sal Palantonio reporting he wants to play, but the Eagles are going to preach caution, and understandably so. Tony Romo, pain will be the biggest factor there. He's already played with that rib and punctured lung. We'll see if he can do it again in 8 days. Chris
He's a lot tougher than some people we know around here.
Suck it up, Romo. You can do it.
We're tougher than all of them.
Come on.
Maybe. We'll see. Have a good day, everybody. We'll see you back tomorrow.
ESPN America, your home for live Major League Baseball.